Key takeaway will be to get opinions of people as YouTube short videos and then try to embed those on your pages like homepage. I am Gagan Ghotra, and this is SEO in 2025 Additional Insights.
Gagan, what's your additional insight for SEO in 2025?
You got to have voices of people in your content. Experience and expertise of authors is not enough.
Voices of people in your content. Okay, which people are we talking about here?
We are talking about real users of your content. So if you are a publisher, you write about product reviews or something like that, you got to have the real opinions of people who are actually using those products, and maybe try to get some videos of them and embed those into your blog pages as well.
Okay, so you're talking about people who are active customers of yours and then have them create the content for you?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you encourage them to create the content?
It's not about encouraging them. I think it's more about you reaching out to them. So for example, let's say you run an affiliate content website. On your pages and on your homepage, you can just have a call out option that if you own these kind of the products, reach out to us and we can give you like a little Amazon voucher of like $50 if you can give some input and you can come on board with us, and maybe we can record like a 1-minute YouTube short video with you sharing experience of using that product, so that we can embed those videos in our pages.
Okay, so the main reason for creating that piece of content is to have the piece of content on your site, to publish the piece of content on your site, and to have that as some kind of social proof that your product is, as you say it is.
Yeah. So I think coming back to EAT, where I mentioned experience and expertise is not enough. So right now, if you're an expert and you're writing a piece of content, that is not something which directly connects with people. But if you have 10 different people saying that, oh, I used this product and it was really, really good, and here are the reasons that it is really, really good, then it sort of like helps to connect with people. That's what you got to focus on right now.
Now, do you attempt to lead them in terms of what to include in the content they produce?
Yes, kind of like giving them a sort of like a mini brief where you can ask them their specific experience of using the product, how they are finding it, and things along those lines.
What would be an example maybe of that type of video that you're really happy with, and why was the reason why it turned out so well? And then what would be an example of that type of video that you're not so happy with, and what was the reason why it didn't turn out so well?
I think what I will be really happy with is like where they are just doing raw talking about their experience. For example, like if it's a page about credit cards and someone who actually bought that credit card and have been using it for, let's say, 5 years, they're just talking about it like, I use it for these specific cases. Here is what rewards I'm getting. Here is the places where it does not work. So I just want them to share their raw experience rather than it being like heavily structured one. So that's why, coming back to my tip, voice of people, you got to be as raw as possible rather than it being like a sort of like heavily structured video where I'm just asking like specific pointer based questions.
And do you edit the video at all? Because obviously some people ramble more than others. Some people include ums and ahs and silences as part of what they're saying. So do you edit the video?
Yes, I prefer it to be as clear as possible, but it's not like doing like heavily like cinematic editing or something like that. So it just got to be like a real conversation where someone who is watching on the other end, they feel like, oh, it was just like a raw interview. Someone just asked someone an opinion about a certain product or something, and it's not like there is no bias in it either.
And is there any particular format of the video that works best? Is it a vertical or horizontal? Any particular specs that you'd like to give of the video?
Right now, I'm just doing YouTube short style or TikTok style videos where it's like less than 3 minutes and it's like on top half and a half breakdown where.
So vertical then.
Oh, vertical, yeah.
All right, so it's an interview. So sorry, just to clarify that, I wasn't aware that you were actually interviewing or advocating that you interview the person. So one person above the other person. So that would be a 9:16 type video that you're talking about, but two heads on the same video.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, so you'd never actually give them the ability just to go away and create the video themselves. They have to be led, they have to be interviewed in order to actually come up with the answers that you're looking for.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
And does it work just as well to actually embed a vertical video on your site? Because most of the time I see vertical videos on YouTube Shorts, as you say, and perhaps they're discovered organically on there. It doesn't seem so common that you see vertical videos embedded on websites.
That's what's new, because what people want to get is like when you are in buying mode and you are trying to read a review of certain products, you just want to quickly skim through as much information as possible. You don't want to be sitting around watching like 60-minute review. So you just want like maybe short clips, 3 or 4 short clips that adds up to like 12 minutes on the page, and you can just like watch those. And based upon that, you can make your decision to go ahead and buy that product or not.
Okay, and from a consumer's perspective who's consuming the content, does it work better from a desktop perspective, mobile, or does it not really matter?
It doesn't matter, but because like most of my clients and their target audience is like 95% mobile users. So on mobile, it works out like really well because it's like vertical format, but on desktop also like it works out really well as well.
And how do you measure the success from an SEO perspective?
I think it's really, really hard to exactly sort of quantify that as a metric and say that, oh, we did this change, that's why ranking improved or something like that. But what that does is like it makes your pages more better compared to your competitors, because once you have the opinions of real people, like most likely if users are coming to those pages, they're going to spend like more time on those pages, which also factors into other things related to SEO and other ranking factors and helps to improve the ranking over time. But the overall goal is to look like Reddit page, because what I have analyzed over last year is that Reddit, any Reddit post and the comments underneath it's almost like there are tens of opinions about a certain things on the page. And what with the video format, what I am also trying to do is provide as many opinions about a certain thing on the page. So I'm trying to be like Reddit without being Reddit.
So which page specifically on a website would you have this content on? Because I would imagine you wouldn't want it on too soon. Perhaps someone's exploring what product you offer and looking to actually find out more information specifically about the products. And they're not maybe wanting to get distracted by the opinions of other people who have used the product at that time. Or is it when they're actually partially through the purchase consideration phase? Or can you be quite specific about where to actually include this content?
I think for e-commerce sites, you can just have this as a carousel on your homepage, but you got to make sure that it's not at the top. Rather, you start with your product information, you go in like more details, and then just around the bottom of the site, around footer, you have that carousel so that people can watch. But you got to start with all the information about your product, talk about all the positive factors and everything else before people like get to that point on the page.
Okay. And you also talk about the importance of incorporating expertise. So your tip was really a two-pronged approach, expertise combined with opinions of people who matter. So the people who matter is obviously the users who have purchased your product before and who they're trying to influence, which is people who you want to buy your product in the future. Where does the expertise come in? Are you talking about demonstrating your own expertise or the expertise of the users somehow?
Yeah, of course, like or demonstrating your own expertise and experience as well. So what you got to make sure is that you are not trying to prove that you are the expert or you have the relevant experience. Rather, you are focusing more on showing things. So for me, EAT, I see it as like not that you have to prove that you have experience or expertise on the page, but what you got to do is like you need to show as much of it as possible for you. So a simple example can be if you are a product reviewer, you review tech products. What you got to show is in the images, you need to show yourself rather than it being just the product images. And by showing yourself, you are sort of building a trust factor with the user that, oh, you are sitting in a cafe and you are using this laptop or a specific smartphone, and then you are talking about it rather than it just being like you are trying to present some information which is not like backed by your real experience.
Got you. Okay, so it's got to be congruent. What the users say about you has to relate directly to your expertise. And I guess that's why you advocate leading the conversation as well. You want to make sure that they talk about the things that you want to be known as an expert at.
Yeah, sure.
Can we talk a little bit about how to incorporate this into an overarching content strategy? How often do you want to create this kind of content? Is it a case of reaching out and doing it once as a big project and then forgetting about it? Or do you do this, for instance, on a monthly basis?
I think it should be done on like, let's say a quarterly basis where you're trying to get like in bulk, maybe 10 to 20 YouTube short videos, which you can embed in your pages over time rather than it being like a one week or 2 week kind of thing. So you should run the campaign for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and try to get as much content out of it as possible. And usually like what I'm trying to do right now is mostly trying to get people from socials, because some of my clients, they have strong presence on TikTok. So what they do is like they just create a TikTok video saying that we are looking opinions of like people around these subjects. If you want to participate, you can just click the link in the bio and we will reach out to you. And the reward for that is like $100 Amazon voucher or something. So that is working out really well, just doing a call out on socials, because my clients already have like strong presence on TikTok. But if you don't have, then you got to find like another way, maybe trying to do some survey kind of thing where you can sort of like use different survey websites and try to find the relevant people.
Okay, so that's a good point. So maybe as part of an existing survey, perhaps even as part of an existing email sign up. If you're collecting their information, then would you recommend adding an additional question that is along the lines of, would you be willing to actually jump on a call and just record a brief video of your experience with our product or something like that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a good approach.
And finally, I'd like to get a feel for the tools that you would recommend using, including AI. So are there any tools that you recommend for recording videos like this, perhaps editing things? And also, are you using AI as part of this to identify people or assist with the production of the content?
Yes, so I will start with the tool. So for example, you can just use Riverside, and for editing, you can use like, if you want to go with like basic one, you can try out CapCut, or if you are like really advanced user, you can just use Adobe. And in terms of AI for this one, what I'm using AI for is tracking different Reddit threads to see like if there are specific mentions of products or services over there. And if that there is, then trying to reach out to those Reddit users via direct messages and see if they can give us some like real feedback that they have left as a comment under some thread. Yeah.
And you mentioned TikTok earlier. Would you ever actually republish some of these videos on your socials as well? Or is it solely for the use of embedding on your website?
I think what I like to do is like concentrate the content for first, like let's say 1 month or two. So once you have the video with you, you publish on your website first and try to see like how the performance goes like for 1 month, 2 month period. And then you should look into like publishing it on other platforms like TikTok or Instagram if you want to do. With doing it at the same time, I think it sort of like creates some sort of like problem where Google is like trying to identify like where is the exact source of the video, and you want that source to be your website for it from SEO perspective. So once that is settled around, and then you can look into like republishing it on other platforms.
So Gagan, what's the key takeaway from the tip you shared today?
Key takeaway will be to get opinions of people as YouTube short videos and then try to embed those on your pages like homepage.
Gagan Ghotra is an SEO consultant, and you can find him over at gaganghotra.com. Gagan, thanks so much for adding additional insight to SEO in 2025.
Thank you for having me.
I've been your host, David Bain, and you've been listening to SEO in 2025 Additional Insights, a Majestic series that complements the original podcast, video series, and book. Find out more at SEOin2025.com.